Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it, get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
With Americans living longer and longer, coupled with the biggest worry of them all, running out of money in retirement, it's no wonder that annuities are growing in popularity. Now, given the fact that banks aren't paying a whole lot on your money, and the fact that the stock market is at all-time high and could take a nosedive without any warning, love them or hate them, annuities continue to provide the only guaranteed financial product that you can never outlive. Income I call mailbox money. Now that's the truth, and that's why we are continuing our educational series on annuities this morning. And with the growing popularity of annuities comes also this concern on my part that a growing number of advisors selling them, some of them may not know what the heck they're doing. That's because with over 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 each and every day, is it any wonder that you're getting bombarded, assuming you're 55 years of age or older, bombarded with dinner seminar invitations? Folks, first of all, welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am that little man in the sweater vest, Tony Walker, and with us this beautiful morning in Louisville, Kentucky on October 1st, 2019, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Aaron, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, sir. I'm good.
And we appreciate Aaron coming in this morning. His favorite sidekick, Megan, is off traveling around somewhere all over the world or whatever. Have you heard from her, Aaron? Is she okay?
I've a few text messages here and there, but we're about 6 hours behind her.
Oh,
so.
Well, you told her, don't be texting me. Yeah, But Aaron's going to be putting on the show and also sharing the mic with me. But anyway, I think about dinner seminars, Aaron. Again, we kind of poke fun at them. There's nothing wrong with dinner seminars, but I always tend to say we tend to buy dinner for our clients, not complete strangers in hopes of getting their money. In fact, we had our client appreciation dinner in Louisville, and we just had a great time there, and we really appreciate our clients, and that's just a small way we can say thank you. So for those of you clients listening, thank you. For those of you who aren't clients, maybe you should be. So we'll tell you how you can take advantage of that. So basically, we want to cover, first of all, why in the world, all right, so many advisors are now selling annuities. Well, number one, assuming you've been thinking about an annuity or talking to someone who's trying to sell you an annuity, you have to understand that some of these people really don't have a lot of training in retirement planning. And we're going to talk a little bit about a checklist I've put together that's really a dandy and something you need before you ever invest money with somebody, and actually invest money with somebody who doesn't like annuities. I saw an ad on TV the other day, Aaron, and a guy on there, he's kind of an older gentleman, had a scowling look on his face. He looked upset over it. Kind of the way I feel sometimes when my wife gives me a rough time. But but yeah, he was talking about how much he hates annuities and how complicated they are. And that's why we're going to do today, folks, Annuities 201. My job as a fiduciary is to first educate our clients and use the experience of over 35 years in working with these products, along with a lot of investments. I've been using investments as well, brokerage accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, since 1985. So I know both of these worlds very well. So it's not just about annuities. It's not just about investments. The Worry-Free Retirement is about finding the right tools for savers so that savers can worry less about money. So number one, you got the problem is a lot of people don't have a lot of experience with annuities, so you got to write them off. Secondly, how do you know whether the annuity that they are suggesting or you're thinking about and the company offering the annuity fits your specific situation? We'll talk about that today. And finally, when you hand over your money to an insurance company, what in the world are they going to do with that money? And then when you die, what happens to that annuity? So again, we welcome you to the show, and we're just excited. In fact, I think we've decided, Aaron, we're going to do a 301, and then we're going to have a master's class.
Ooh, we're going back to school, aren't we?
This is, yeah. So if you thought you graduated last week from the annuities, folks, it's going to get deeper and deeper. But I think it's very important because, again, I guess I get so tired of hearing about all the misconceptions and people who come to me and they are interested in a retirement game plan that includes annuities, and they've just got this wall built up that people have built for them that really doesn't a lot of times have truth associated with it. So, you have to, a good teacher, first of all, I think an advisor does have to have the heart of a teacher. So a good teacher, first of all, starts off with wanting to help people. That's the way I feel about life. And then secondly, has a desire to want to know the truth, the difference between right and wrong. So before we get into today's meat of the show, let's go make sure we just understand what is the definition of an annuity. By the way, if you'd like to watch past episodes of the TV show, The Worry Free Retirement, and also listen to past radio shows, so you can watch or listen to the last show on Annuities 101 by going to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and downloading the podcast, or you can go to our YouTube channel at Tony Walker Financial. So an annuity, what is it? Okay, an annuity is a contract issued by insurance companies. Again, only insurance companies can underwrite, back, and issue annuity. So you got to go to an insurance company if you want an annuity, all right, a private annuity. Now, if you take out an annuity, you're called the annuitant. That's just the name you're giving, and you exchange for this annuity a premium. Now, this confuses people because a lot of times people say, well, Tony, I thought I recently rolled my 401k. Maybe you're a client. Tony, didn't we put some of my 401k into an annuity? That wasn't a premium. That was an investment. Well, it technically, and you'll see this later in the show, why it's called a premium. It's not an investment really, it's a premium. And the reason you're paying a premium to the insurance company is, with any insurance company, you're wanting them to cover a risk that you yourself don't think you can handle. And in this case, we've been talking about mailbox money, and mailbox money is defined as guaranteed income you can never outlive. So the risk of outliving your money is really what we're trying to protect. Now, there's basically three institutions that offer annuities. The first one's probably going to surprise you. The first institution that can offer an annuity, it doesn't happen much anymore, but would be an employer or the government. And these are called pension plans. That's right, I said pension plans. So again, for those naysayers out there that hate annuities, don't think you should have an annuity, assuming you have a pension plan provided by your employer or government, maybe you're a teacher or some of the big companies still offer pensions, then you need to hate those pensions because really all they are is annuities. The pension is your mailbox money. That's what's guaranteed for a certain period of time or for the rest of your life. We'll talk about annuitization later today on the show. And the second form of annuity is really your Social Security. So for the majority of you, if you grab your paycheck stub, you'll notice something called FICA. And those FICA taxes, those withholdings, which your employer matches as well, total up to about 15%. It's a lot of money set aside in the government coffers that will one day, hopefully, pay you a lifetime income or an annuity or what they refer to as Social Security. Remember, Social Security was just a government name. It came up with it. The term annuity was around a long time before Social Security. So Social Security is the form of annuity, and of course it's backed by the government. And then finally we have private annuities, which we'll be talking a lot about today. In fact, you can't see it in the studio. I've got all kinds of notes scribbled on a 4x8 whiteboard in here, and we're going to do our best to make this relative to radio since you can't see what I've written up here. I think I can explain things very well. Again, that's why we do the TV show, folks. The TV show, The Worry Free Retirement, which is on now in 7 stations throughout Kentucky, really helps you understand things probably a little better just because we can illustrate and we have the visuals on TV, obviously, which helps. So when we come back, we're going to dive in. Again, we're now at Annuities 201. Good stuff coming up. We're going to find out how insurance companies work, what they do with your money, how they invest it, and what is the return on that money to you and your family. You're listening to The Worry Free Retirement. I'll be right back.
With 401k plans at all-time highs, why continue to risk your hard-earned money? There's a safer way to retire worry-free. Attend nationally recognized retirement specialist Tony Walker's next free workshop, Retirement 101, December 9th in Louisville, December 10th in E-Town, and December 12th in Bowling Green. These workshops are free, but seating is limited, so register today at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Tired of the roller coaster ride of the stock market? Let Tony Walker show you how to smooth out the ride with your money. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and we are in our second episode of annuities called Annuities 201. So for those of you who attended college or were in different trade schools or things where they had different levels of courses, last week we covered Annuities 101, today Annuities 201. And you know, we have marketing meetings. Aaron sits in those meetings every week here in our Louisville offices, and you know, we had myself, Aaron, Trey, Megan, Gina, that's kind of in our marketing group, but I said, you know, I really want to do a deep dive into annuities. I've never done anything like this, and the first reaction of them all was, gosh, Tony, you know, these things are pretty complicated. You sure you want to go down that road? And folks, that's the whole point. They're not that complicated if you know what you're talking about. We've been using these for years. We really know these products well, but yes, they are complicated because they're contracts if you don't know what you're doing with them, or if the advisor selling the annuity doesn't provide you a written game plan. We'll talk about that later. We've got some cool downloads. I'd like you to go to our website if you get a minute or after the show. Yeah, if you're driving down the road, don't go to the website, folks. Aaron, people tell me that. I've got several, and gentlemen usually tell me this. They'll say, yeah, they come in to see me. I'll say, when do you listen to it? And they'll say, when I'm driving down the road. So, you know, got a lot of workers out there during the day who listen to the radio show, so we appreciate that. But anyway, if you go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, I've got two downloads I want to mention. They're absolutely free. First of all, you can download what's called a white paper, called Annuities 101. It's just a one-pager. You ever heard of a white paper, Aaron?
No, not before I started working here.
Well, I hadn't heard of them either until the last couple of years. We kid in our office. Connie in our Bowling Green office, always kid with her. I get these email blasts with white papers, so we're coming up with white papers. Really, a white paper is just a summary, a synopsis, real brief of a subject. So you can download our white paper. There's another download I want to talk briefly about you can get on our website at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. It's called Services Offered and Credentials of Tony Walker. It's really a retirement planning checklist. And so when you go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, there's a space bar, a search bar right there on the homepage. Type in downloads, and you can get both the Annuities 101 white paper and the Retirement Planners Checklist. Now, what we did on here, this is really cool. It's got what Tony Walker Financial's done, all right? We'll see if we have time at the end. I'll go over it in detail. And then if you are talking to other people or you've got a former advisor or current advisor, you can list and check off what they've done. Because here's what I found over the years. When people are searching for an advisor, how in the world do you know the advisor knows anything about annuities? How do you really know that? They can tell you they know anything about it, and if they know more than you do, then I guess they know more than you do, but that doesn't really mean much, because most of you would probably admit you don't know much about annuities. So this checklist, again, at TonyWalkerFinancial.com is really, really good where you can get it out. I've already filled out our side, actually under penalties of perjury, quite frankly. So I want to make sure people know this is the truth, and then if somebody takes it to an advisor and the advisor fills it out, make them sign off under penalties of perjury to make sure they're not skating the truth on terms of what their credentials are. Really important stuff. All right, let's keep moving. So we came back in and we're trying to figure out what in the world does an insurance company do with the money. Most people don't talk about this. You probably have no idea what an insurance company does with the money. So the first thing we do is, you as the saver, me as the saver, I've got several annuities, but let's just forget annuities for a minute and think about an insurance company. What they're really in business to do, again, is take on more risk than you're willing to handle. All right? And remember, money you give an insurance company is not an investment, it's a premium. Think about health insurance. You don't pay an investment of $800 a month or whatever your premium is, you pay a premium. Your car insurance, let's say it's $1,000 every 6 months. Well, you don't call that an investment. Maybe you're investing, to be protected, but you pay them a premium. Let's take a car. That's a good example. Aaron, you've got car insurance, don't you?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, have you ever had any accidents?
Once when I was about 18.
Oh, okay. But I bet that's scary, because an 18-year-old folks that has an accident, you think an insurance company is excited about that? Yes or no, Aaron? Do you think that makes them nervous that an 18-year-old has an accident versus a 40-year-old car accident?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, they're thinking, wait a minute, here's an
Younger.
18-year-old kid, you're younger,
Yeah.
not a lot of experience, he's already had an accident. So in order for them to take Aaron's premium and cover the risk that he might have a big-time accident, they got to invest that money. So it doesn't matter, folks, whether it's health insurance, car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, annuities, those premiums are sucked in by the insurance company and they turn around and invest it. Now the question ought to be, well, where do they invest it? Well, they have to invest it in things that are very, very safe. Why is this? They have to invest safely because they know there could be what's called a claim. Aaron could have a car accident. Aaron could run over somebody. Somebody could sue Aaron. With annuities, they know that someday somebody's going to want their mailbox money. They're going to claim their benefits, and that income has to last for the rest of your life or their lives. And the insurance companies, they don't know when you're going to die. So if you put $100,000 with an insurance company, and at age 65, let's just say they start sending you $5,000 a year, well, shoot, you and Martha could live 40 or 50 years. They don't know that. Now, granted, they have thousands and thousands of policyholders, so they spread the risk, and they know pretty certain with actuaries the number of people that will die, but they don't know who will die. So the beauty of an annuity and the idea of an annuity and why so many savers need to have some annuities, I didn't say all of their money, some annuities in their retirement planning is because you don't know how long you're going to live. And most people I talk to, if they're being honest with themselves, don't want to wake up one day and all of a sudden be out of money or have 100% of their money in the stock market and the thing crashes while they're trying to draw out money. That would be not only not prudent, that's just pure foolishness. So the insurance company takes the money, and here's what they do. They invest in very, very safe bonds and usually mortgages, really safe stuff. So let's use an example. So you say, well, Tony, what's the return on their investment? What are they hoping to make? Well, in general, now bond yields have come down a lot. So insurance companies are not making as much money. They just aren't, which has in turn affected the return on annuities. So annuities versus 10 years ago aren't paying as high a return. Don't let anybody selling you an annuity telling you that they're paying 8 to 10%. That's an income rider. That has nothing to do with yield. So that whenever you start hearing advisors start talking about how much an annuity pays, 6, 8, 10%, and they don't explain what that number means, that you need to grab your wallet and get the heck out of there, folks. That has nothing to do with what I'm getting ready to talk about. Those are called income riders. We'll cover that in the next segment. So basically, they take your money, and let's say they can get 5% on their portfolio. Well, now they've got expenses, right? They've got to pay agents like me commissions on the sale of products. They have to set up money in reserves. The state insurance departments make sure that they have plenty of money because they're going to have to pay these claims. They just can't go out and blow it all. And then they got to run their businesses. They've got expenses. They've got office buildings, staff, all that stuff. So after all said and done, let's say their expenses, everything is 2%. Well, that only leaves 3% for you and me. So you can do one of two things with that 3% return on your money. You can, number one, keep it within the contract and just have them reinvested. And with an annuity, it's tax deferred. You could defer the taxes even. Not a bad deal. Or, let's say it's paying 3%. You can take that 3% out each year. So let's take $100,000 and they send you $3,000, 3% of 100. You say, well, wait a minute, Tony. Nah, wait a minute. I heard a guy on the radio recently, or I was at a dinner seminar. I heard where you can get 6%, or I even heard where you can get 10%. Again, folks, that is not a yield. That's not what you're returning on the annuity. That is associated with something called the income rider. And again, after the break, we'll cover the difference between income riders and annuitization. So you've got to understand what an insurance company does with your money. First and foremost, they have to keep it safe. They are not going to invest it in the stock market, even if you have a fixed indexed annuity, folks. We'll get to variable annuities probably. I bet we're going to run out of time, Aaron. We may have to do variable annuities next week. We'll talk about the 4 types of annuities and really get into those in a deeper dive. But basically, for the most part, all insurance companies right now, with current bond yields the way they are making for you how much return on your money? Anywhere probably from about 2.5% to 3% on average. That's all they're making for you. Then you say, well, Tony, that's not a lot of money. That ain't much more than the banks. Exactly. So what is the difference between an insurance company and a bank? Number one, insurance companies are usually more statutorily capitalized. That means they have more money in reserves to pay claims. I feel personally they're stronger than banks. That's just my opinion based on financials that I see. But more importantly, secondly, remember the risk. The purpose of the insurance company is to mitigate risk. What these insurance companies can do that banks can't do, that you and I on our own can't do, and what Wall Street certainly can't do, these insurance companies can provide you mailbox money, guaranteed income for the rest of your life. It's really not that complicated, folks. So, by the way, there's a great download also, speaking of downloads, if you'd like to just learn more about the truth of annuities, several years ago I wrote a book, a little booklet, easy read, called The Annuity Decision Guide for Savers. I would highly encourage you to download that and read that book. It's excellent. If you don't have access to the internet for some reason or can't get it and just want to call us real quick, we'll mail you a hard copy. Just ask for the Annuity Decision Guide for Savers. If you want to give us a call, it's 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-9255, and let us know that you'd like a copy of the Annuity Decision Guide for Savers. All right, when we come back, how does this, let's call it 3% return on your money, translate into the 4 different types of annuities? And then if we have time, I don't think we are the way it's going, but that's okay. We'll cover it next week. We're going to make sure we go slow and steady on this deal. What's the difference between the 3% that you tell me, Tony, that I can make and the 6, 8, or 10% that the guy at the dinner seminar recently said I can make? Well, there's a huge difference, folks. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back.
With 401k plans at all-time highs, why continue to risk your hard-earned money? There's a safer way to retire worry-free. Attend nationally recognized retirement specialist Tony Walker's next free workshop, Retirement 101, December 9th in Louisville, December 10th in E-Town, and December 12th in Bowling Green. These workshops are free, but seating is limited, so register today at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Tired of the roller coaster ride of the stock market? Let Tony Walker show you how to smooth out the ride with your money. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. You're listening to Annuities 201. And I am fiduciary Tony Walker, and I've got to cover this, Aaron. This thing, we worked hard on this, trying to put this together. I think I'll take just a couple of minutes to read it. Tell you what's happened, folks. We'll have next week Annuities 301, so we're running out of time today. I'm going to cover the 4 types of annuities, how interest and rates of return is credited in just a second. But since we're going to be covering a boatload of information next week on the show, let me go over this. This is cool. And again, this is a download at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You can download this. The purpose of this is in case you're out there shopping around, kicking the tires and talking to advisors, you need something to make them complete. You've got to have somebody sign off on their credentials. I mean, let's face it, folks, if I've got the heart of a teacher, if he or she that's talking about investments has the heart of the teacher, number one, they're going to be very transparent with you. They're going to tell you anything you want to know about themselves, their credentials, how much annuities they've written. Oh, by the way, ask them if they own an annuity. You know, I own, let's see, 2 annuities, and my wife owns 2 annuities. No, I've got 3 annuities, excuse me. So we've got a total of 5 annuities. I got a lot of money in annuities. I believe in these products, and I show people my statements if they want to see them. So that's another thing. Somebody's selling you annuities, say, hey, if you believe in this product so much, Hoss, can I see the annuity you've got? How much money have you got in these products? I mean, that to me is a legitimate question. But look at let me go through this list real quick. So again, this is at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. In the search bar, type in downloads. This is the retirement planning checklist. First of all, if you go with Tony Walker Financial, do you get to meet with the owner of the business in person? That's me. Yep, you do. Do you get to meet with the owner of other businesses on a regular basis? You'll have to ask them. Number of appointments with savers over the years. I can document this. Over 15,000. Folks, I've talked to a lot of people. I've heard and seen just about everything. Again, this sheet, the other advisor needs to put down under penalty of perjury how many people they've seen in person. Number of personally written game plans that I've overseen. Well over. We put it at 4,000 just because it's a round number. Over 4,000 written game plans that I've orchestrated or overseen. The average advisor, who knows? You go all the way down here. How many annuity premiums has this advisor written? We've written over 350 million. I've been working with annuities since 1984. Full service staff. How many people do we have that are staff? I'm not talking about agents running all over the country. I'm talking about staff that's there to service you. We have a 5-to-1 ratio, meaning for each fiduciary, there's 2 of us, we have 5 staff members for each fiduciary. And there's a bunch of other stuff on here. So again, highly encourage you to download this at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Okay, Aaron's kind of waving me on going, Tony, we've got about 4 minutes here. All right. So there's basically 4 types of annuities. If you're just now joining us, we talked about how insurance companies make money on your money. And under the current rate environment in 2019, they're paying anywhere from about 2.5% to 3% on your money. That's it. We'll cover income riders next week. We're running out of time. You ain't getting no 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% on your money, folks. Forget that. If anybody tells you that you are and doesn't explain what that means in terms of income, again, grab your wallet, sneak out of there, tell them you got to go to the restroom, climb out the back window of their office, but get the heck out of there because they're not looking out for your best interest if they don't explain how annuities are credited. All right, so let's imagine we have a fixed interest, fixed indexed, variable annuity, and immediate annuity. Those are the 4 types of annuities. So if the insurance companies are only crediting 3% on your money, with a fixed interest, you would make 3% or $3,000. That's it. Now, granted, the $3,000 is locked in, so you don't lose any money. So at the end of the first year, guaranteed, you'd have $103,000. All right. What about a fixed indexed annuity, Tony? What am I going to make on that? Well, it depends on what the market does. Now, there's no risk with the fixed indexed annuity. This is one of my favorite products, but you may not make anything. So let's say it's paying 3%. What the insurance companies are doing is they're buying options in the stock market. You don't get the 3%. They're taking that out to the stock market. No risk to you, but if the market goes down or the crediting methods don't work out that year, you don't make any money. And in the maximum you could make, if you have what's called an annual point-to-point, 3% again. So you go anywhere from 0 to 3. If the market crashes, you lose nothing. So a lot of savers like that. What about variable? Now this is the one a lot of people dog, and I agree, due to the amount of fees. Because a variable annuity, listen closely, is actually invested by the insurance company in the stock market. They do take that money to the market. They've got an enormous amount of risk that they didn't have with the fixed interest or fixed indexed. Remember, the fixed interest, fixed indexed is in very safe bonds and mortgages. What the insurance company does with a variable annuity is they take that money and they basically turn it over to Wall Street. Pretty risky stuff. That's why they have to charge 2 to 3 to 4% in fees. This is why we don't do variable annuities. It doesn't make sense because the fees are just too darn high. So this is why, for savers, I do not recommend a variable annuity. And what's the final part? Well, it's kind of like my granddad's pension. That's called an immediate annuity. So an immediate annuity works this way. You hand over $100,000 to the insurance company. We do immediate annuities. Don't do them a lot, but they do have their place. And then you tell the insurance company, okay, I want a guaranteed payment for, let's say, 5 years. How much will you pay me? Well, the insurance company runs their numbers. They're making 3% on it, but you only want it 5 years. They're going to pay you the principal and the interest. So maybe they say, okay, we'll do a payout rate of 8% for that. And again, remember, the principal in that example is going to be exhausted in 5 years. And you say, well, what if I did 10 years? Oh, okay, well, since we got to pay it out longer, the payout rate is 7%. Well, what if I want it for the rest of my life? Oh, okay, well, now, wait a minute. Now, if you're wanting it for the rest of your life, that means we may have to pay it longer, right? They have more risk. The payout rate might be 5% and so forth. So again, folks, here's the point. If you own an annuity, thinking about buying an annuity, maybe you're wanting to get into safer territory. If you're over the age of 59 and a half, have a former 401k, have a current 401k, getting ready to retire, IRA, it doesn't matter, money languishing in the bank. Here's another one. Received an inheritance recently. Many of you don't have enough income. You're receiving inheritances. We can show you how to turn that inheritance into mailbox money for life. Why don't you do this? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and while there, find the Let's Get Started button and click on it. We'll talk by phone, or you can meet with me in person at one of our convenient locations in Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, and let's get started to find out, first of all, if an annuity is right for you, and if so, what type of annuity, and how our written game plan, our proprietary process, the Worry-Free Retirement, can help you make sense of annuities. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. Remember, next week, myself and Aaron Orander will be right back here on the Worry-Free Retirement as we go to Annuities 301. So you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you make it a good day and you be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.